everybody, I'm Magical Jill, and today we're going to be talking about Monster High New Ghoul in School, the video game.
Do not swap around those words.
And I also have my husband. And what do you mean about swapping around the words? Don't you mean like
when you turn this game on...
acronym?
Well, when you turn this game on Xbox 360, it says Monster High NGIS. And I was taken aback for a second. Like, I looked at it, and I had to turn back and look at it again because I was thinking I was misreading it. So I think they dodged a bullet here.
I think they probably weren't even thinking of that. So you did have something you wanted to say about this game, that it actually pioneered the way for something?
Yeah, this game pretty much invented schools. I think it's cool because people talk about Bully, they talk about Hogwarts Legacy, rip-offs. Monster High New Ghoul in School is considered by many, and by many I mean the voices in my head, to be the ultimate school simulator RPG.
Exactly. It pioneered the way for gaming.
This is kind of an interesting game because it's one of those games that I think is thrown under the shovelware idea, where there were so many of these licensed video games back in the day off of TV shows, toys, different movies. I miss them. I think some of them, there were a lot of diamonds in the rough. This is kind of a mixed bag game with a lot of fun things about it, but I think a lot of people, they think back and they see these licensed games and they're like, they're all throwaway. I think this game would actually be really fun for a lot of people, and especially for hardcore fans of Monster High G1.
I also think it would be really magical if you were a kid when this came out.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about in this game. Hey, before we hop into it, what should people do if they enjoyed today's video, Jill?
They should leave a like and subscribe, and maybe even go check out my awesome shop that I have that'll tell a cool discount code at the very end of this video.
Very fun stuff. And question of the day for this channel, I'm stealing the idea from mine. What is your favorite Monster High character?
Oh, that's a good one.
Not just the main cast, I mean out of everybody.
One of the first things that I wanted to talk about with this game is it came out in 2015, so that's about 9 years ago. And it came out on the PS3, Xbox 360, 3DS, Wii U. It was also on the eShop back when that was up.
And it plays differently on all these, by the way.
It was on the Wii and the PC.
I didn't know it was on the original Wii.
Yeah, the original Wii.
The version we're talking about is for the 360 today, essentially.
This game featured over 40 different characters from the Monster High universe, so it has all of the main iconic characters, and it has a bunch of side characters like Iris Klopp, Spectra Vondergeist, even Headmistress Bloodgood is in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of different characters you can meet. Something that I think is probably the best part of the game for people who enjoyed Monster High is just going around talking to people. Going around, you end up in a club and you're talking to Ghoulia, or maybe the next day you're in cooking class and you're hanging out with Deuce.
Yeah.
I think those are the things that are probably going to be the big highlight for people.
Something that I absolutely love about this game is it's entirely just about you going around and exploring the school and hanging out with the iconic characters like Frankie and Claudine and Draculaura. There's a main story, which is really interesting, and we'll get into that a little bit too. And you go to classes, you do mini games, you do little errand quest fetching things.
You kind of level up your reputation in clubs, although it's not really seen as leveling up your reputation. It's just you keep going through club activities until you've eventually done all of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of side quests pretty much for that.
Yes. So there's actually a lot of different things you can do and people you can interact with. There's no combat. I will say that. Not that Monster High is really known for it, but it's really kind of like just a walk around, talk to people, and carry stuff from place to place game.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it bad, but it's not exactly action-packed.
No, but it's very fun. And I think it's really special that you can walk around the entire school and go to a lot of different classrooms and places that you wouldn't have ever really gotten to see much in the TV shows.
Yeah, the kind of nooks and crannies of the school.
They have a bunch of secretly hidden collectibles too. You can find locker codes for abandoned lockers, you can find scarabs, which are a little special collectible, and you can find a bunch of floating coins, which you can use to buy new outfits. I wanted you to talk a little bit about the main story because I think you really enjoyed it.
So I did and I didn't. The main story is fun. It's underwhelming for parts of it, but it's interesting because you're basically dealing with old spirits. You're dealing with the spirit of an ancient evil that has returned from the grave.
Yeah, because it's attached to one of the artifacts that Cleo wore.
Yes. School. And what's weird about this is the plotline is actually kind of dark. It's about world domination, which isn't something I'd really normally think of when I think Monster High. I think fashion, I think fun, I think girlfriend, nights out. I don't think world domination. But there's a lot of weird, very dark elements to this story. Like, for example, there's one part where the villain, he essentially is starting to possess different people. Like, he's taking them over, he's possessing their bodies, which is already dark enough. But then he makes up his whole plan, and he talks about how they'll, like, lure everyone into the theater, and then they'll lock the doors behind them, and there will be a mass possession. And I'm like, bro, you just swap out the word possession
for a different word
with pew-pewing.
Yeah.
And you have like a very different game. Like,
it was very dark.
It's I think that at the time it came out, now obviously things like that had happened prior to that. Mm-hmm. I think that the people making this game, though, were pretty innocent.
They were, like, so innocent that they didn't understand that what they were doing was an allegory for school
Could be seen
hurtings.
As one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be seen as an allegory for that. And, like, obviously it doesn't offend us. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, this is offensive. It was kind of funny to see, like, in a shocking way, because when the dialogue was going and they were saying that, I was like, is this a veiled dark joke? Like, is this a veiled allegory? What's going on here?
Yeah, it was really weird. However, I thought the main story was very fun.
Yeah.
Because you kind of go through the entire story. You first see Cleo being possessed by this thing, and then slowly but surely almost all of main characters become possessed, and then you're the character who has to save them all.
Yeah, and there's very few characters left that aren't possessed by the end of the game, mm-hmm. you know, with what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. I do like that you get to create your own character. You get to name her whatever you want. You can make her whatever kind of monster you want. You can choose from, like, ghost, dragon, werewolf, vampire. Yeah, a lot of different things. And then if you get sick partway through the game of the kind of monster that you're playing as, you can go up to Twyla and literally just say, hey, can you use your special thing on me to make me a different monster? And then you just become whatever other monster you want. It's really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was neat too. And in between every day you go home to your house and you are able to pick up your room and do stuff there and change your outfit, change your hair, things like that. I do think that with this game, it's too bad there was not more customization.
Yeah.
A lot of the outfits were palette swaps, and you couldn't really change anything in your bedroom. When I think of Monster High, one of the main things I think of is customization.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a literal real-life character creator where you would buy outfits, you'd buy dolls, you'd doll them up, you'd change their hair, you'd do stuff. That's what dolls are.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to me that parts of that are in the game, but then other parts are just not.
Yeah, you can't change your room. You just have a bunch of creepy pictures of all of your school friends on the walls.
Which, yeah, you're like a stalker.
And then also, all of the hairstyles you can choose from pretty much are like the different hairstyles that the different girls wear, like Frankie's hairstyle and Jennifier's hairstyle and like a bunch of other hairstyles. So it just kind of seems like you're copying your friends at that point, too.
Which, hey, you're a high school girl, that's par for the course, right?
Mm-hmm.
People copy each other.
Though I do think that the customization for the clothes and the hair is very fun, that you can dress up your character however you want, and you can kind of make whoever you want to be.
I think it's kind of neat because this is pretty much an OC simulator. Like, you make your original character, and you go around as your original character with your outfits, your style, your whatever.
In your own person.
Yeah. Now, you're not going to heavily affect the story. Everybody's story is going to play out the exact same as long as you beat it.
Yeah.
But I still think that's fun. It reminds me of a game like Sonic Forces. You know, basically, it's leaning into the idea of people used to say, like, oh, this would be my Monster High character. And they used to draw it and post it online and stuff. The same way the Sonic fandom did. And then Sega was like, what if we lean into that and we give them a game about their own original character that they customize?
There's also a lot of really fun mini games in this game, like cheerleading, and there's like this mini game where you collect electrical stuff in the robotics class to actually make a robot come to life, which is really awesome. You get to go to a lot of these different classes and hang out with the different characters. Like, you even hang out with Deuce in cooking class, and you help out a lot with all of the things that they need help with. And I think it's really fun and interesting. When you're doing cheerleading, you actually get to listen to the main theme song that Madison Beer...
or have to, because they never change it.
You have to. You have to listen to the main theme song that Madison Beer made. And although I love Madison Beer and I love that song, they play it way too much in the game.
That kind of gets into something I wanted to mention really quick here, which is that I think this game could have benefited a lot from a higher budget.
And more soundtracks.
Yeah, well, just in general, like, you throw a little more money at this, I have no idea how much money this game made, but you market something like this right.
It actually could have been a lot like Hogwarts Legacy.
Well, if it was at the height of Monster High when it was, everybody wanted it, that could have made a lot of money. And I'm not sure if it did or didn't, but I do think it's interesting that they didn't put very much music in here. They repeat the same loops over and over again.
A lot of the characters say the same thing over and over again.
Especially after you get past a certain point in their dialogue. Yeah, it just, parts of the game are janky. The frame rate is weird. This very much feels like a combination of like a browser game that you'd log into back in the day on a website and it'd be like, whoa, this is super in-depth. But it was free back then. This was a full-priced video game.
You also said it kind of reminded you of some like MMO type thing.
It feels like an empty MMO.
Yeah.
It feels like you're playing an MMO by yourself, where you're mainly going around talking to people, interacting, doing quests, and MMOs are often filled out by other players. You don't really think as much about, this area is not the most densely populated with the most activities because there will be 12 other players running around doing stuff, talking. The school feels populated, but there's times where it feels like areas of it are pointless.
It also sometimes feels empty because a lot of the random characters that are walking around are just randomized monsters. I also think this game could have benefited from more locations. They did an amazing job with how big the school is and how much there is to find in it, but I think there could have been more locations to go to other than just the school and your bedroom.
Well, especially when you have the whole world at, your fingertips of like, there was actual Monster High lore. You had things like Gloom Beach, you had Scarus, you had Skull Island, I believe it was
I thought
called.
it would be really cool if you could go to the mall to be able to buy your clothes instead of just buying your clothes on your Monster High phone.
There's even, episodes of the web series where they were at the mall and they were meeting up and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's just not here. There's a lot of things that are just not here that I find weird, and I think that it was probably one of those things where they had a limited budget and development time.
I think so, but I think the game is really fun for what it is. It's very easy to get all of the achievements on Xbox. I did get every single one of them.
I think overall we like the game. We actually Let's Played through this entire game. I do want to mention
on our Let's Play channel.
Our Let's Play channel, which is Degenerate Plays. The link for that is in the description. And I play games over there with my friends. I play games over there with you, which is also one of my friends.
I think this is one of my, probably not one of my like top 100 favorite games, but one of those games that I feel a lot of nostalgia for, that I really enjoy and that I would never really want to get rid of.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those licensed games that I think is a diamond in the rough. It's not the best thing ever. It's not the Spider-Man 2 Raimi game, where you're like, this has no right to be as good as it is for a movie-based property game. But it's still really fun. There's a lot of heart behind it. There's a lot of charm. You can tell the people who made it did care with the limited resources they had. And this is one of those things that I think is really fun because fans of any age could play it. You could get a 35-year-old girl who grew up with Monster High and they'd probably have a fun time, or boy. Or you could probably,
get a little kid to
introduce a little kid to it and they'd have fun walking around. So there's a lot of fun to be out there.
There's a lot of really fun things to do with all the characters. One of my favorite parts of the game is you get to create your own superhero with Ghoulia in the comic book club. I thought that was really fun.
That was neat, yeah, and I like how they tie those things into the characters' personalities. People do actually generally behave the way they did in the show. So they did their research, they knew what they were doing. It doesn't just feel like a soulless cash grab.
Yeah. I want to say really quick before we go, I have an awesome shop called CosmoBunny.shop where I make a lot of handmade, one-of-a-kind resin pieces. They are made out of recycled comic books and recycled manga that we get from places that are really damaged, so they're just throwing them out, or we get them for really cheap because nobody wants to buy them because they're very damaged, and I will take them and I will kind of recycle them into my own little art pieces and then put the rest into the real recycling. Then I also make a lot of handmade jewelry, which is really awesome because I love making handmade jewelry and I take commissions on that. So if somebody wanted something custom made that is a beaded jewelry thing, like beaded necklace or beaded earrings, I do that, and I think it's really fun and awesome.
Yeah, it's an awesome store. It's growing. We're trying to make it a thing, but right now it's just a very, very small business.
I also have a discount code, actually, and I wanted to mention it because this is also our Fortnite creator code.
Yay.
So if you go on Fortnite and you like to buy things on Fortnite, put in our creator code or go on my website to get 10% off. using the same code. It is DJAY123.
Yeah, those things help support these channels a lot, especially on Fortnite if you're just gonna buy something anyway.
And I made the code based off of my husband, Degenerate Jay, so that's why it's not Jill, but maybe someday.
Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for having me in the video.
And I hope you all subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!